In the next 5 years, we're going to have to build our own ecosystem and our own community. Make anything and finish it. It does not matter if it's good the first time out.
And that's the hard part, typically.
Finishing it. Even if it's bad and you know it's bad, you need to finish it. The value in your game is the execution of it, not the ideation. Hey, welcome back to Brain Arcade. Today I'm here with Nathan White. Nathan, can you introduce yourself and a little bit about how we met and a little bit about yourself?
Of course. I'm Nathan. I am currently the director and producer of Threeclipse, which is a studio I founded a couple of months ago. I have previous experience in QA. I have a little bit of experience in game design, and I have a postgraduate degree in narrative design.
Awesome. Wait, where'd you get your degrees from?
From George Brown College in Ontario.
Okay.
I think we met, you were doing a webinar at Game Design Skills, and I reached out to you after that.
That's right. Yes, I did a thing for Game Design Skills where I covered how to self-sort and what type of game designer you could be, or what by identifying your personality type and what you like to do and things like that. All right, but then we hooked up to get because I wanted to know about Threeclipse Studio. So do you want to tell me about the studio a little bit more?
Yeah, so it's interestingly, it first started as, I realized that there are very little jobs in the game industry for narrative design currently, especially at the more junior level. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I'm going to create my own job. As I started this, I noticed that there are a lot of people in similar situations that they don't know how to get started. They don't know how to get their foot in the door, so to speak. And as I was recruiting for contract work, I got approached by juniors that weren't quite there yet, not quite ready. And I started helping people hey, here's what you could do to improve your portfolio. And I realized I really like doing that, and people seem to enjoy that. And over time, we built toward a kind of an incubator program or a junior program, which is completely free. We just help people create a portfolio piece. And we try to make video game development education as accessible as possible to newcomers.
So when you say accessible as possible, where are you getting the curriculum from? Is it from your experience, or are you customizing it to every narrative? Actually, layers of questions.
Yeah.
Is it all narrative designers you're helping, or is it just developers in general?
Everyone who wants to be working in the video game industry, we try to help them.
Okay.
I have my own skill sets that can help with more directly, but I can't do anything about art. I have no talent whatsoever in drawing. And so we try to bring in people who donate their time just to help others. And so we kind of, either through webinars a little bit every couple of weeks, we try to bring in an expert in a specific field. And as we go through our junior program, which is 10 weeks of building a video game together, we try to pair every developer with a mentor. So one-on-one mentorship for just an hour, just sometimes, ask questions that you can't really Google, career advice, other things. So it's a bit of my own experience plus bring in experts.
So, and this is one of those things, if you were reading it, there would be an underline with an asterisk. So are you tracking this mentoring, and how are you tracking it?
So it depends on what we mean by tracking. Typically, we're coming at it from a perspective of everyone who comes and makes games with us. They already are expected to have a degree or be a recent graduate or be very close to finishing. And so we expect them to have that kind of discipline to take charge of their own, career. But we do try to make sure that everyone who joins us as a mentor provides valuable feedback to everyone. So we try to keep just kind of keep notes of, was it useful to the person? And weirdly enough, even during those mentorships, so far, everyone that has come through the program has asked me to be there in the mentorship, just to kind of help move the conversation along as needed.
Okay, so but you pair them up, and at some point you need to know who's paired with who. So you've got as the runner of the program, are you keeping an Excel sheet with who's mentoring who and you know what I'm saying? Because at some point you want to produce some data. And how big is the program? How many people are in it?
So currently it's pretty small. We just started a couple of months ago. And so We did a first cohort with 6 people,
Okay.
and now we are starting one. We just started one with 8,
Okay.
and we are hoping to do it thrice a year. But
Okay.
the last time we opened applications for that kind of program, we had over 80 applicants in like a week of just opening it up. So I think
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of people who would benefit from this, and so we're actively looking to expand the capacity in which we can help people.
Yeah. So what's the limiting factor on your capacity? Mentors?
Mentors and also just the time, because I think one of the things that can really halt a studio
Uh-huh.
or a small team like this is just, are we keeping on track? Do we have like a clear set of deliverables? Are we scoping correctly?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of stepping in as a project manager and producer, so I'm kind of participating in the whole process and making sure that everyone
Yeah.
does what they're supposed to be doing.
When somebody comes in for mentoring, are they applied to some sort of shipping assets or product, or like basically like
Yeah.
how long is the mentorship program? Is it like a quarter? Is it 2 quarters? Is it as
So I like to see it a little bit less as a mentorship and more of the mentorship happens on top of that. Again, they're
Mhm.
meant to have their education already. So this is more of a, sometimes in universities people will do like a capstone project, right?
Sure.
This is kind of, we're giving that opportunity to people to do that, and the mentorship is kind of added on top of it.
Okay,
Um,
so it's a benefit.
yeah, and we pay for Steam costs. We push the game on Steam, and so we try to keep it within 10 weeks. 10 weeks, we
Okay.
have from the start to finish. We have a small game.
Okay, got it. So 10 weeks, a game is made. The applicant is making the game themselves, or are they working with other applicants?
They're working with other applicants. We're
So
all
when you say 6, like the program was 6 this time, it's those 6 people are working on one game,
yes,
and it's like a longer game jam where they're taking a full 10 weeks to make something new, put it up on Steam. It's proof of work. Are people like saving stuff out for their portfolios?
absolutely. I think that's the
Uh-huh.
perhaps the main benefit of it.
Right, right. And so are they, and it's basically they're on their own. They make their portfolio and
They're not on their own. We try to guide them and
uh-huh, uh-huh.
provide expertise when we can.
Okay, got it. How it gets tough because some people's jobs get kind of abstract. So you have to like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like it's hard to make a portfolio of like narrative design sometimes because you have to like whatever. Like what do you think about that? Like how do you
Yeah,
put that together?
and weirdly enough, this is so relatable in the sense that I did my degree in narrative design, but
Uh-huh.
then I was like, what do I work on? Like a twine game, like they say, okay, make a twine game. Recruiters are going to look at no, recruiters are not going to look at your twine game. They're going to have you ship something.
Yeah,
Yes, then maybe you have a shot. Twine game, it shows that you know the theory, but even at entry level, currently, it doesn't work out. And
sure.
so I think providing a framework or a structure in which people can contribute in the form of a video game, you don't necessarily require to have like 2 or 3 years of experience to join the kind of program that we're making. So for
Uh,
someone who's just fresh out of college or has been like self-taught for a certain amount of time, then yeah, this kind of making game together, it does give them that opportunity. And in game jams specifically, typically it's more difficult to make a narrative on top of very small games, right? Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Sure.
so like when you look at game jams, like you have, okay, yeah, you're gonna have programmers, you're gonna have artists. Those are like very standard. Narrative design, it's a lot less usual.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, it's true. It's tougher, and also the things that make there's so many specializations in game design now that it's very difficult to put together a portfolio on just what you made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've just done what your first one, or there's a couple of these now that you've done or finished.
So we finished our first one, and now
Okay,
we're building the second one now.
got it. But by the way, when this is over, you have to link me to the first one
Of
so
course.
I can check it out, and also we can cross promote a little bit and check stuff out. I tentatively will volunteer to be a mentor for
Yes.
something, but I want to counter propose something else that I'm working on. I think you and I've talked about it as a potential future benefit of like doing stuff together, because I would love to scale your capacity in a way of like not just doing one, doing a bunch. And so when the product goes up on Steam, are you charging for it, or is it
It is
free
entirely
plus donations?
not even
Okay.
donations.
How are you making money as a studio?
We don't.
Oh, okay.
It's mostly mostly it's volunteer run. It's me plus my executive assistant. We're just trying to
Hmm.
help others through. We donate our time, and we don't expect to make money out of it.
Uh-huh.
How do we stay in business? That's a question that we are still trying to figure out. It currently doesn't
Yeah.
fit us.
Well, you could you like donations of like a loaded word, but you could do a Patreon or buy me a coffee or something like that and go that way. Definitely do not go the way of ads. That's just going to be it's just going to
Yeah,
A, you need saturation for that, and B, I think it's counter intuitive to what you're doing to have
yeah.
ads in it.
I think the whole point is just trying to make sure that it's we're donating our time. We don't want to make money from this. So we do have I do have a core team that is working on a commercial video game, but is completely separate from uh,
Got it.
that kind of
Okay.
work. So we're hoping that that
Um,
one will pay off.
It will. I can help you with that. There are many ways to actually like because I'm not talking about like making a gajillion dollars. I'm just talking about covering running costs
Yes.
and essentially possibly even a stipend for the mentees. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like basically, there should be some way to help it be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, you and I can talk about that later. There are so many different ways that are not officially charity based or whatever. Like, and it's not if your target goal is low, right? Of like what needs to be self-sustaining, then your budget is different. When you have a budget in your head of like, oh, I'm gonna have a breakout like monster hit, blah blah blah, retire to a Caribbean island and make whatever I want after that, then the sort of project requirements change, right? But for you, the project requirements are very specific as far as like the intention is to cultivate learning, foster experience for people and contribute to the ecosystem. There's energy there that can be monetized without like perverting the purpose of what you're doing, and I think that's what you're looking for. And I can tell that's probably why you're saying you haven't figured out how to monetize yet, is because almost every route is built around how do you 10x your ROI, and like or like how do you get 10 million eyeballs to see like crappy ads that nobody actually clicks through, like all of that stuff. But there are ways that you and I can discuss that are like, if your intention is not actually to scale super huge monetarily, then there are different approaches that won't feel as shady if you do it correctly.
Yeah, I would love that. The very much the goal is to be as transparent as possible
Yeah.
and to be on a altruistic mission and not like we're going to make like
Yes.
millions off of this.
100%. I'm at 1,000% aligned with you. And so here's the thing. When I worked at Nexon, and basically what I'm going to apply to what you're doing is a free to play mentality, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I learned at Nexon is you don't always have to go directly to the wallet to benefit or make money from it. And so it's what I call a 2-point conversion, right? And there are ways to track some of these softer conversions into money. So like let's say you have somebody that doesn't spend a lot of money on the game, but they're spending a lot of time, but they talk to all their friends about it. You're essentially making free marketing from that person, right? And then that has a value, and then the being able to convert that value or that time value is important. So anyway, we can discuss some of the more sort of abstract pieces of this like later.
Yeah, of course. Just to wrap this up in a sense, it's interesting what you're referring to, because what that junior program has done for us as a byproduct, and that was not the intent, but it does allow us to talk with a lot of people and kind of further our own education and
Mm-hmm.
create contacts, create networks, and meet new people. So it has not necessarily monetary money value, but it does have a value in itself. So
Yes, absolutely. In fact, so it's interesting. This podcast has soft value, Like, I'm not going to make any money off of this actual podcast, but it has value in the networking, and it has value in the creating a stable knowledge base of people that want to know about me, right? Or know about video games or want to know about game design. But it is up to me to put the extra work in to actually monetize the periphery, right? Or the channels of how people are getting here, what they're doing, and do the sorting. It's more work, right? It's not creating well, it might be creating a t-shirt, but it's not commoditizing what you're doing directly, right?
Yeah.
And that's something, it's doable. If you talk to normal business people, they won't wrap their heads around this, because they're pretty much following, like, the ROI formula, right? Of like, you put this much in, it costs you this much, here's your overhead, here's the return. And it's a little more work from a tracking standpoint, but you and I can definitely try and figure out some ways to get you onto, like, at least a net zero, like, flat budget. It's possible, but you will not find the way to do it in your traditional business stuff, because everybody is built for scale and 1000xing your investment. And if you have to throw out some of those strategies and not listen to those people, because from a design standpoint, that target goal like constrains you to operating a certain way. And I think you're doing this correctly, which is like, we're just going to operate, we will figure out how to monetize based on the muscle memory of what we're doing. And then you will see, like, there will be soft values that are created, right? And when I say soft, I just mean that it's not a hard trackable thing that is easily monetizable. But you'll start to have, like, wow, I have this network now, and like, holy smoke, now I have a database of people. Like, I can't directly monetize a database of people. That's just grimy data selling, right? But I now have a contact list that, like, maybe I can start connecting people, right? And start doing a little biz dev, or start doing, like, you end up in these places where the more you do it, the more value you can get out of just doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been kind of pitching a couple of internal strategies that would be kind of a win-win, both for us and for anyone who comes to the program. So, we've been thinking about, maybe we can do like job placement or something to that effect. So a couple of strategies we've been thinking about, but
sure,
I'll be looking forward to talking with you about potential strategies.
You and I, we could just start with some brainstorming at a different time. So I have a different question. Yes. So on the last game that you just finished, and then the next one, or whatever, like, as a structure, where is the game idea and design generally coming from? Is it coming from the mentor, or is it coming from the mentees?
Yeah, well, it's coming from the mentees. I want to make sure that they have complete creative control within the parameters of can we make it in time, right? It's kind of weird. We perhaps not the most efficient method, but we kind of have a brainstorming or pitching session where everyone kind of comes up with 1 to 3 pitches. And then we kind of decide together, okay, what do we want to do? What kind of game do we want to work on? And what is realistic for the talent?
For the time frame. So essentially you have like a pitch process, and everybody's involved, including the mentees.
Yes. Currently super inefficient, and we're trying to refine it, but basically it's kind of a voting system, ranked voting system.
Okay. Like, basically people stack rank the ideas, and then you eventually come up with, like, well, I guess we're doing whatever, like, hamburger food truck game. So I'm not ready to talk about some of the stuff I'm working on, but it's like, I think there's a great dovetail here for what you're doing and what I'm starting to stand up, because I believe this is where the industry is going, which is lots of people are going to come out of school and not be able to get a job. Lots of people are going to be at big jobs, lose that job because they're going to get laid off because EA just got bought by, the PIF fund. And then like basically layoffs are not done yet. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people with experience out there. And it's like, I don't care about scale from a business standpoint. I care about scale from an ecosystem, and I want to help everybody's standpoint, right?
Yeah, and it's why I'm kind of surprised. I've been trying for a commercial project. I've been trying to recruit someone in various roles that were like, okay, can we get someone on an equity basis as we bootstrap this and we get more funding than we currently have? And so I was very surprised to be approached by people that have come from AAA
Uh
with
huh.
like 15, 20, even 30 years of experience. And I'm like,
Yep.
why would you want to work in a small scrappy studio? But people are like, yeah,
There's
you know what? I'm tired of corporate stuff. I just want to go back to the roots of making something fun. And there's no real opportunities. We have to be entrepreneurs to keep working in the field that we
oh
love.
yes, and that's I feel that like I've been doing games for like that's where I'm at, right? You're hearing this from me, and I'm cursed with the fact that I can see all of the ecosystem pieces and the fact that it's missing because somebody leaving, like, not to pick on EA, but let's just say they were working at EA for 20 plus years. They don't know where to start, right? And like, well, that's not 100% true. Some of them will just like, you know what? And they just go start building their own thing and they'll do it on their own and they'll try to solve all their own problems. But there's no real resources, guides, or community around, hey, are you going to go indie? Like, here's your peeps, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of difference between, oh, I'm a 3D artist versus I want to start a business. Two
Sure.
very different skills. So
Absolutely. And but even the words I want to start a business, it's like there's no guide for a garage business. There like all of the resources that you find out there are all built around like how to get your pre-seed funding and how to get your series A and like, how do you like how to pitch to VCs and it's like it's a very specific track of business where the thing is like via the interwebs,
yeah,
right? I have access to 7.5 billion people potentially if I apply myself correctly. If I can get 10,000 of that 7 billion people to give me $1 a month, I'm actually in pretty good shape,
yeah,
right? That doesn't cover everything, but that, covers rent and car insurance and whatnot. But there's no toolkit for that. There's no idea of like, how do I build like, a home solo business? It's just influencing, right? And whatever. But there are people out there that are very successful at being an individual indie dev, but they're not really teaching other people how to do it.
yeah. And based on my own experience, there are a lot of resources out there, but they're all scattered, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
like you have to kind of infer from this. How does that apply to my specific situation? And it's hard to keep track of everything. And so one of my hopes is that either by ourselves, as we learn more and get more acquainted with the whole process and everyone's difficulties and everything, either we can build that kind of process, document
Yeah.
it, and release it into the void, or perhaps someone else will be inclined to kind of gather those
So
resources.
here's where I would. This is the lens switch I'll pitch to you. Is that it is not necessarily for any one person to build out what that process is or what the ecosystem is, but it helps to have one person be a guide initially on how to start banding those things together, right? Because I agree, there are people that I'm seeing solving individual pieces of the ecosystem problem all over the place for indies. It's happening right now because
Yeah.
we realize the number of people doing indie games is exploding, but there's not a whole lot of support, help, or community built around that. Yeah, there's some Discord stuff, but generally most solo or small developers are thinking about how do I pay my bills. So when they start a community thing, it's really a marketing function, right? They're not always thinking about how do I commune with my other peeps except when they go to like PAX or indie functions or like GDC or things that other people are setting up, and it's like very sparse and not it's not a daily touch point.
Yeah, and there's also like one very perhaps unfortunate truth is that when you first starting a studio, you're expected to kind of put in the hours. Like we're talking 50, 60 hours per week
Sure.
of just to make it run. And so you don't know what you don't know. And so do you
Mm-hmm.
have the time and the mental power to think, what is it that I don't currently know? How do I find those resources? And
Right.
so I think any kind of guidance in that regard is, and I hope I can get to a point where I can help more people in just kind of figuring
Mm-hmm.
out. what is it you don't know and what is it you should be learning right now.
Right. And also, and by the way, it's very different than what you think you might be learning in school,
Yeah.
because like,
Oh yeah.
well, I mean, if I were coming out of school right now, it would be the equivalent of like, oh man, I went to like 16 years of school, but I don't actually know how to balance a checkbook, right? Like basically there's like life skills that you're going to have to learn. And some of that, a lot of that you can get by just doing. Like, I'm going to go make a thing, right? Which is what you're doing. And I think that's super valuable because you're like, we're going to do a thing. We're going to start it. We're going to finish it. We're going to actually ship it. And that's hyper important because when I see younger or junior game devs, artists, etc., and their resumes come through and they haven't actually finished a product, it's almost like the difference between somebody who comes out of boot camp and somebody who's seen their first battle, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know that you have no context for, like, there's some things you just don't know yet.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton, but where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do, cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
I will say this. I have to give credit to my school. In narrative design class, we have a class that is called entrepreneurship. And obviously, everyone in our cohort was like, why? Why does this matter? Like, nobody was interested in that. But it made sense when you think about it, because you have, like, whatever path you want to take. It was a narrative design and screenwriting program. So if you want to be writing scripts for Hollywood, you have to be an entrepreneur. You have to be a self-starter. And they taught us how to network, how to create contacts. And so this is the kind of things that you don't necessarily think about when you say, okay, I want to make video games for a living, right?
Right. That's interesting. So an entrepreneurship class is like super valuable, right?
Yes.
Because, like, I'm going to say it extremely plainly right now. If you are in game design or game making school right now, the competition for an entry-level job is so extremely fierce. Like, you're going to have to figure out how to exist while trying to get a job.
Yeah, I think I remember Amir Sadbat, who recently posted statistics on LinkedIn. He said currently only between 7 to 10% of roles in the game industry are junior level. So especially for juniors, it is.
It's true, but I have to tell you, being older, well, it's both ends of the bell curve, right? Like, there are just as few jobs at the higher levels, and they're really about fit. And the thing is like, it can take, unless I know that I'm secure for over 2 years, I'm always job hunting.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't stop. Yeah. It does not stop. I'm constantly networking. I'm constantly trying to see what other people are doing. I'm constantly talking to people, and I'm constantly looking for like a job that fits me. And I'm 52, and I've been doing it for 30 years, right? There is no, after this point, I will then be secure. Like, you might as well just throw out, like, I've had like 8 401k plans, right? Which is the American retirement, like, tax-free stash away. And I've consolidated them and done different things. But because it hasn't been constant with contribution for like a certain amount of years, it's got holes in it. It's tanked in 2008. Like, it's basically like, there is no long-term system here. Like, you have to take charge of your own, life plan outside of the idea that you have a job. And part of that is entrepreneurship, but the other part of that is like being independent in thinking as far as, what do I want to get out of making games? And if it's, doing them on my own or working for a studio, you still have to operate yourself as a business.
Yeah, it's crazy because you would think, with 30 years of experience in this industry, you would be able to get like any job you wanted. Like people would be begging you to come work for them. As I understand it, this is not the case.
I mean, those opportunities show up, but it's not like if I throw open to work up, it's not like I get flooded with offers.
Yeah. But I think, it aligns with, you have to stay entrepreneurs, have entrepreneurship in your skill set. And I think, when the industry kind of reshuffles and restructures, I think we're going to see more and more of that, especially as we see people that quit AAA to make their own thing.
Yeah. And so this is a pattern that I've seen over the decades. Like, no section of the industry ever really dies. It just turns into a thinner layer in the archaeology of games. And so like AAA as we know it, or as it's defined right now. So EA, Ubisoft, Microsoft, like everything underneath like those three huge banners, plus like even some of the AA stuff, right? So like THQ Nordic and like, some of the 505 and some of those players, like their slice of the industry gets a little smaller, but they don't just go away. Like as long as we have consoles, there will be people making console games. People are still making NES cartridges, right? And there's like tiny amounts of business there, but it never gets fully eliminated, right?
Yeah,
and
as
so
long as there's demand.
but it doesn't even need to be that much demand. People in video games are crazy. Who makes a NES cartridge? There's no business case for making a NES cartridge, right? Like,
I guess it is a creative field, so here we go.
But the business case is actually sustainable if your costs are low, because producing a ROM is pretty cheap now. Packaging, like they actually produce physical cartridges. Actually, I know a guy. He makes 2,600 cartridges, and he sells enough of those to make it worthwhile. But it's not AAA, right? And like I wouldn't say that he's getting like wheelbarrows of cash, but he's doing okay, and I think he's making a living off of it. But the proof of that is that little piece of the industry never actually just died, right?
Yeah.
Like these things get really thin. And so I think the AAA layer that we're looking at now, it doesn't matter if we get another Xbox, there will be this sort of cap layer at the hyper investor level, right? A publicly traded big company, it's big entertainment. We're going to get more Grand Theft Autos. We're going to get more Call of Duties. We're going to get more tentpole games. 10,000 people are going to make the next Assassin's Creed. It doesn't matter. Those are still going to happen, but like the rest of us are going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. So I think I would like to ask you, and I apologize because I'm technically the guest on your show, but I would like to know, what are your predictions for the next 5-10 years? How is the industry going to look then?
So I talked about this with another friend of mine. So there's another episode coming where we talk about the EA purchase. So we're going to continue to get tentpole games. If you look at Hollywood, we're going to end up in a similar spot. So we're going to have this audience saturation point where like, I don't think people will ever stop playing Call of Duty or Fortnite or those larger games. It's just that they're starting to show fatigue a little bit, right? Well, actually, the only thing that saves that is that everybody's life changes at the half decade or full decade milestone, right? So the difference between 20 and 30 in your life and your patterns is like night and day almost, right? And so what that means is that if you do a new game every 5 years, you're actually selling to the generation that was idolizing the generation in front of them for being able to play that game. And so it's essentially like this sort of loop. You're never really selling to the same people. Like it's really easy for us to have like data blinders when we look at sales data and stuff like that, and we always just lump them in and they become faceless and we don't really assign those to real people. But you have to think about it as like, oh yeah, this guy went off to college, his little brother bought the next one, they still play it together, that's 2 copies, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like these real human connections.
Yeah, I think this is just a recurring thing. People weirdly, I think I saw some recent statistic that said that a large chunk of people just play games that came out many, many years ago.
Yep.
It doesn't go away.
It doesn't. And also, when I worked on Combat Arms, there were people that have been playing it for like 10 years. Same game. That's the only game they play. They were playing Combat Arms every Thursday night. They treated it like bowling night. They see their friends. It's very social. So, by the way, so what's coming, right? So we've got Roblox, we've got Fortnite. The younger generation has been playing these very, very socially oriented platform games, Minecraft. There's crafting involved, etc. The stickiest retention that you can put into a game is social, right? And so, like, case in point, like the amount of like League of Legends killers that came out or Dota killers that came out that all failed, generally we're missing the one thing, which was they didn't have a social hook, right?
My best personal comparison is Final Fantasy 14. I've played quite a bit, and I know a lot of people who play it, but they don't like, the gameplay is fun, everything that goes around it. But why do they say, oh, because they want to talk to other people, because they want to role play, because they want to dress up their characters, or make decorate their houses or something.
Absolutely. And so the gameplay is almost secondary to the social in places. But we have a whole generation that's grown up on that. They know no different. And they're also used to crafting. So like what's behind that generation is probably prompt and play, game not needing a console. Like basically, like I've been playing my Xbox Game Pass on my TV without a console.
Wow.
Right, like
I don't own an Xbox, so.
Well, but no, I have Game Pass on a Samsung TV, no console.
Right. Sorry, I mean, I don't really play Xbox games in general. So that's interesting. I wasn't aware that was a thing. Very cool.
Yeah. So I have a Xbox controller. I Bluetooth it to the TV. I recognize the latency, but that's because I make video games. But a lot of times for slower paced games, it's like almost as good as Stadia. And I made something for Stadia before. So like I'm very hyped into like how this stuff works. But the thing is like I was playing Cyberpunk 2077 on my TV.
Without a console.
Without a console, it's just streaming.
Wow.
Okay. Well, like even on my old Xbox, my Xbox One, I'm playing Deep Rock Galactic Survivor right now, streaming.
Very cool.
There's no, like, we're not only digital distribution, we're like hardware free, right? Play anywhere.
Yeah. I wonder how that's going to impact, indies. How can we adapt to this new reality of streaming games?
I don't know. So there's still always going to be the gatekeepers of Steam and Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, as far as like getting on their platforms. But the platform's definition will no longer be the hardware. Well, for Nintendo, it'll probably be the hardware longest because they take to heart that they're a toy company. So they continue to make product that are about delight, not necessarily about bleeding edge tech, right? Mm-hmm. Like the Nintendo consoles is like a 5-year-old Android when it comes out every time. Like they're the only publisher that makes any money on hardware. Everybody else loses money on hardware, but Nintendo is intentionally builds like they focus on fun. They don't care about bleeding edge. It's fine. So Sony will make a PS6 probably. Xbox will make whatever the next Xbox is. Those might be the last ones. Or they will go the way of the vinyl turntable, where they will continue to make physical ones, but they will be premium items, right?
Relics.
Premium items. Say what?
Relics or artifacts or like a collector thing.
Yeah, but they'll be like a $1,200 console because it's like the Call of Duty special, blah blah blah, with like a 10 terabyte hard drive and a XY. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be more like creating a physical attachment of value, not just pumping out to hit total addressable market, right? Yeah.
It's interesting. Because we're talking about Xbox right now. Like I know some indies do publish on Xbox, but it's a lot.
They have a whole program. I did Xbox, but it's like it's hard to get into. It's curated.
And I wonder if there is ever a world in which it becomes more accessible to indies, as opposed to like Steam that has like you just file a couple of forms, you pay $100, and there you go.
Yeah, but even Steam, you kind of have to have your ducks in a row before you even get to Steam, right?
Yeah.
And like, so a lot of people go to itch.io or like the ecosystem. It's possible to get there, but then once you're on Steam, you basically have to play the Steam game.
Yeah,
Like
algorithm. Yeah.
you have to fight the algorithm to just get noticed. And so, where we're going is in the next 5 years, we're going to have to build our own ecosystem and our own community. The technical barriers are going to be easier and easier to hurdle. In fact, they're almost non-existent, but nobody has organized that into a pattern that is like, holy smoke, indie for dummies. Step 1, make a thing. Step 2, join this community. Step 4, right? And like, that's essentially what I'm saying is like, because of the coming future and the oversaturation of games hitting the market, we're going to have like a discoverability issue. But we're also going to have a lot of energy around indies, and we need to harness it in some way. And so what I'm saying is I'm signing up to be that hub guy that starts to do, here's step 1, here's your 4 options. Here's step 2, here's your 6 options.
Imagine a world in which like Twitch streamers or YouTube streamers become like publishers. They have like their catalog of, oh yeah, these are the games that my team made.
That's already happening.
Yeah, they're just like sponsoring those games. I mean, they do take like, oh, this is a sponsor stream, but imagine just have them having a catalog of just they work under my banner, right?
I know people that are already doing that.
No way. Well,
so they're making a game for X streamer under their brand, published under their company, like basically like direct. So this is the thing: is we're essentially eliminating the need for publishers, which means that you
conversation. But yeah,
well, right. But the thing is publishers weren't worth much now because marketing's kind of dead. So why would I go to a publisher except for like some guarantee that they're going to sell a certain amount of units in exchange for predatory loan rate, right? Whereas like, if I only need 50K to make a thing that I can sell to 100,000 people, why don't I just take a bank loan, right? And then figure out the rest, or have somebody else help me with the rest and split the rev. So like, these things are possible. It's not easier. It's just different, right? A lot of this business responsibility is going to come to the indie. And, here's my step 1 for everybody coming out of college right now. Go incorporate. Whether you're in Canada, United States, anywhere, incorporate instantly. Go to Rocket Legal and incorporate.
Depending on where you are, it's super simple too. It's just fill out a couple of forms, make sure your name is not already taken. I don't know how it is in America. In Canada, it's pretty simple.
It's like, depending on what state you're in or what state you want to file in, it's a few $100 a year, which can be prohibitive, but generally you can do Rocket Legal and like incorporate for like $300 or something.
The horrors I've seen in just people trying, okay, we're going to make a game together, but they're not incorporated, and like they do dubious practices. Sometimes they're just plain illegal. And then, well, I'm personally liable now. Look at that.
Well, and sometimes it's not malicious or evil. They just don't know any better. They just think they can do it that way. And so, this is part of like, I feel like there's an annex building on your mentor system, which is like a business school of how to be a single person entity, right?
Yeah, and perhaps because I try to moderate on Reddit a little bit, just helping people get started. And there's a misconception that making a game on revenue share is a magic recipe to having free labor. That is not how it works.
That is not how it works. Yeah.
It's not a magic recipe for success. It's a magic recipe for disaster.
Yes.
You have to know what you're doing, because otherwise you're just walking into. Not only is it very likely the game is never going to get made, but also you may be headed toward legal disaster.
Well, you may be in court for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the thing is like when you write up those contracts and or work with people, Yeah, it's basically it's super dangerous to operate that way unless somebody starts to erect a structure around how to do it properly, you know, how to help each other without turning it into a walled garden, because then nobody will have access to it. So
Yeah, I think, and that's where that's where I'm coming in. I want to make that kind of education as accessible
yeah,
as possible.
yeah. So all right, we need to wrap up here in a second. I would love to have you come back and actually talk about this topic of like in starting out indie as a business.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't think you can go indie now and not think like a business or an entrepreneur. I think it's hyper important for you to do that. So I'm going to do let's do our top 5 bullet points of like, I just finished school, or, basically, hey, you want to be a game developer. Step 1, incorporate. Step 2, make anything and finish it. It does not matter if it's good the first time out.
And that's the hard part, typically.
Finishing it. Even if it's bad and it's bad, you need to finish it. Step 3, find a community. And it's like a community of devs or a community of players and devs. But you basically you can't go alone. You have to create a social structure around what you're doing. Some of that could be volunteer work or rev share, but mostly it's like just find people you like to hang out with and talk to.
Yeah, and especially when you do like remote work, when you collaborate remotely, because when you're like an in-person office, like you can communicate with people that are in the office. You can chat. When you don't have that, like development can be lonely. It can be scary. You can face imposter syndrome. You just, or sometimes you just need to run ideas by someone. How does this sound?
Totally. Yeah, I've had, even digitally, it's very important to talk to people to bounce ideas, because you may not agree with them, but at least that you don't have any blind spots.
Yeah, right? But can you see problems with this pitch that I'm proposing that I haven't thought of? Right.
And also, and that's my final bullet, is pitch everything all the time. Do not worry about somebody stealing your idea. That's your ego. That's your ego talking. I have no doubts that you have great ideas, but the value in your game is the execution of it, not the ideation. And so solve the problems of execution, not having great ideas. I have great ideas 6 times a day. I generally pay attention to them. A lot of them I throw away, right? And sometimes I just file them away for later. And I've got 20 games in my backlog that are all waiting for execution. And it's like they've percolated over the years. And like, I freely pitch those all the time. I just pitch because I want to see what people get excited about. There's zero chance that you pitch something to me and I'm going to go like, you know what? I'm dropping everything and I'm making that. Yeah, there's like, that doesn't happen, because my ego is fighting your ego for like, I'm not going to make your shit. I'm going to make my shit. Right?
So, yeah. And I'm guilty of that. And when I first found it out, I was like, you know what? We need an NDA for everything. Just for you to understand the concept.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of that, but it's not how it works. People won't take your ideas unless you have something like completely original that nobody has ever made before in their entire lives. In the history of video games, maybe there's like a 1% chance that someone might want to take
the only time somebody will steal your idea is if you actually have a new business model.
Yeah.
That literally makes sense, is looking for traction, in which case that's not something you pitch anyway. That's not a game. So by the way, this is why we have to wrap up, but I'm going to like, my last thought is, and this is why Grandma's Boy is bullshit. Nobody gives a fuck about the guy who's making a game in the basement, because if you go to every big company right now, that guy is there making a game in a basement. And you know what happens? He shows people and they go, oh, that's cute. And then they move on. And nobody by themselves makes anything amazing except for Notch, right? And even he wasn't alone, and that had to come from like winters full of like cold temperatures and vodka. So like there's no like it happens, but it's like Angry Birds had 51 failures in front of it. The value is executing. Build stuff, build stuff, build stuff.
Yeah, if anyone listens to this and has like one thing they take away from this, don't be afraid to pitch your ideas. Get feedback from others. Don't worry about
pitch it to me, because I won't steal it. I won't care.
Yep.
Anyway, you know what? That's a great thing to leave on, is like, hey, if anybody's got any comments or questions, leave them in, wherever you're experiencing this podcast, and, we'll address them. Dude, thank you for coming on. I think you and I at minimum need to set a recurring, like, monthly meeting where we just touch base. I want to help you with your mentor stuff. I'm just super stacked.
Yes.
So I'll probably, like, let's talk about it when you get to like product 3.
Yeah, sounds good.
But between now and then, I'm going to be building something that I think you're going to be interested in. And I think if we just keep touching base once a month. By the way, and I am going to invite you back on here. So
of course, thanks for having me. And I'm looking forward to the next time I talk to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Brain Arcade is a Princess Hermit production, produced by Kyrene Kim, music and mixing by Jonathan Ontiveros. The podcast is hosted by me, Chris Cross. You can find me and my other endeavors at coffeewithcross.com.
You deserve better healthcare, and so do we all. Medicine in America is a podcast that shares real stories of patients and doctors reshaping the future, because the revolution in care isn't coming, it's already here. Real stories, real change, a better future for healthcare.
Electricast. Electricast.
Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your hosts for the Candle Power Hour.
Electricast.